In tonight's headlines, Hong Kong warns against protectionism as global business leaders gather in the city for the Asian Financial Forum. Donald Trump wins the New Hampshire Republican primary, but his only rival Nikki Haley pledges not to give up.
About 3,000 financiers, investors, and political figures from around the world turned up at the Convention and Exhibition Center on the opening day of the Asian Financial Forum. They heard Chief Executive John Lee calling for international cooperation.
In a world of escalating deglobalization and decoupling, international cooperation has never been more essential. International market fragmentation can only lead to rising costs, reduced market liquidity, and ultimately a diminished and destabilized financial system.
Lee said Hong Kong offers opportunities for companies and countries. Financial Secretary Paul Chan emphasized the city's free trade policy.
The current global upheaval and talk and actions of de-risking and friendshoring since the pandemic now flatten what we have achieved, and we will all be worse off if we allow these emergent trends to take root. That is why Hong Kong stands firm against protectionism and roadblocks to trade and investment. We are firmly committed to multilateralism, to free trade, and to reducing trade barriers.
Li Yunze from the National Administration of Financial Regulation said Beijing will support Hong Kong and Macau banks in expanding the business scope of their mainland branches. His department will also help financial institutions from the two SARs acquire stakes in mainland insurance companies. Maisie Mock, Cable News.
Former security guard Chang Man Kong was accused of fatally stabbing former colleague Li Wing Ho, who was repairing an ATM machine in Chang Kwan O Station in September 2020. Chang denied a charge of murder and another of assault occasioning actual bodily harm, but was found guilty by a High Court jury yesterday. In handing down sentence today, Judge Johnny Chan said the defendant and the victim used to be friends, but fell out because of misunderstandings. Chang had pleaded for leniency, claiming he had a mental disorder and did not intend to hurt the victim, but the judge rejected the plea, pointing to the defendant's wounding conviction in 2018. Chan said this showed Chang was a violent person and the stabbing was not a single incident. Chang was given a life term for murder and 6 months for assault, with the sentences to run concurrently. Janice Low, Cable News. Taxi driver Mok Pui Wah has pleaded guilty in connection with an accident that claimed 2 lives. Back in August 2021, 6 people were knocked down by his taxi, which was traveling at about 50 kilometers per hour on Kwong Fuk Road. 2 of the victims succumbed to their injuries. Appearing in the High Court today, Mok pleaded guilty to 2 counts of murder and 4 of dangerous driving causing grievous bodily harm. Mok will remain remanded until sentencing next month. Foreign Minister Wang Yi and his counterpart from Nauru have formally re-established ties between their countries. The event in Beijing came after the tiny Pacific island severed relations with Taiwan and said it recognized only one China.
We look forward to this new chapter of the relationship of Nauru and China. It'll be built on strength, built on development strategy. It will have a synergy of policies. It will have good collaboration and shared governmental principles that both our countries enjoy.
Former U.S. President Donald Trump has secured a crucial victory in his bid to return to the White House. He defeated his only remaining rival, Nikki Haley, in the Republican primary in the state of New Hampshire, receiving 54% of the vote, compared with 43% for the former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. Trump is the frontrunner for the Republican nomination to challenge President Joe Biden in November, after another rival, Ron DeSantis, pulled out. But Trump kept attacking Haley.
We've won almost every single poll in the last 3 months against crooked Joe Biden, almost every poll. And she doesn't win those polls. We had an unbelievable week last week in Iowa. We set a record. Ron beat her also. You know, Ron came in second and he left. She came in third and she's still hanging around.
Haley, however, has vowed to keep fighting.
This race is far from over. There are dozens of states left to go. Now we're the last one standing next to Donald Trump. With Donald Trump, you have one bout of chaos after another. This court case, that controversy, this tweet, that senior moment. You can't fix Joe Biden's chaos with Republican chaos.
Palestinians in Gaza have been forced to reopen old graves to cope with the mounting fatalities from Israel's bombardment of the besieged enclave. About 25,500 Palestinians have been killed since Israel attacked Gaza in retaliation for a deadly Hamas raid last October. As civilians fled the southern city of Khan Yunis ahead of advancing Israeli forces, the United Nations Security Council heard a plea for a two-state solution.
Last week's clear and repeated rejection of the two-state solution at the highest level of the Israeli government is unacceptable. And this was despite the strongest appeals from even the friends of Israel, including those sitting around this table. This refusal and the denial of the right to statehood to the Palestinian people would indefinitely prolong a conflict that has become a major threat to global peace and security.
At least 6 people in the Mongolian capital have been killed in a series of explosions that followed a collision between a car and a truck carrying 60 tons of liquefied natural gas. The crash triggered a fireball which spread to a 12-story apartment building and nearby cars in Ulaanbaatar. More than 600 firefighters were sent to fight the blaze. 3 firemen were killed by the fire, which also injured 14 other people.
The People's Republic of China has rolled out 6 measures aimed at deepening financial cooperation between Hong Kong and the mainland. They include allowing Hong Kong residents to buy property in the Greater Bay Area more easily by relaxing restrictions on cross-boundary payments. The measure might help revive the property market. The central bank will also roll out a Bond Connect channel next month to facilitate investments from both sides. The policies are aimed at boosting investor confidence.
The measures will strengthen Hong Kong's status as an international financial center and offshore RMB business hub. And they will also further facilitate the connection of capital, data, and financial markets in the Greater Bay Area. We will continue to work closely with the PBOC to ensure timely and smooth implementation. And we will also keep a close dialogue with the industry and the public to explore further enhancements.
After a gloomy start to the year, the Hong Kong stock has made sharp gains. The Hang Seng Index surged 3.6% today, one day after jumping 2.6%. Investors were encouraged by Beijing reducing the amount banks have to keep in reserve by 50 basis points starting early next month. The move will free up 1 trillion yuan, which is expected to boost business lending. The market was also lifted by the news that Alibaba's co-founders have bought a big stake in the e-commerce giant. Alibaba soared 7.3% to its highest level since November. Tech heavyweight Baidu gained 6.7% and shopping platform Meituan closed 6% higher.